Hey everyone, it's Brandy from Brandy Burrow Astrology, back with Ellie from Saturn Season Astrology and YouTube channel Let's F with Astrology. Thanks, Ellie. I love when you join me to discuss crimes.
Yeah, I look way too happy about the crime thing. But yeah, it really is very interesting. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. And today got a lot of requests for this. It was so funny. You got requests, I got requests, and we just had to do this one, the JonBenet Ramsey.
Yeah, well, it's one of those, it's one of those cases that it's so close yet so far. You know what I mean? God, I remember being little and coming on TV and all, everything about it. And it just really captivated the nation, certainly the nation, really the world in a lot of ways. Yeah,
it was a big one. I remember when it made news as well, and it's like we were all waiting for the suspect to be captured, and here we are how many years later? 20, almost 3 decades later.
Yes.
26 years later or so, and still a cold case.
Yes. Interesting. Mercury retrograde, right, in the charts?
Yes.
That's also like the yogurt shop murders here in Austin.
Oh,
Mercury. It's like I don't know. It's like the retrograde motion maybe really fucked with this a little bit.
Yeah. Retrogrades are never usually helpful in a crime chart.
No.
Interesting. I have those charts somewhere, the yogurt shop murders, and I don't remember that, so I'll have to look that up again. That'll be another topic we do. But sadly, there's plenty of material as far as like criminal cases and forensic astrology. So yeah. JonBenet Ramsey. So this happened. She was reported missing December 26, 1996. Last time she was seen was Christmas 1996, 10 p.m. when she was put to bed, supposedly.
Yes,
supposedly. Yeah, we got to go by the family's account. And that's the whole thing with this case. There's no question the manner of death, homicide. I really think the mystery here lies in, of course, who did it. But the mystery really is, was it someone in the house or someone outside the house? And that's where so many theories come into play.
Yes. Yeah. It really does kind of boil down to that.
That. And lots of theories out there. So yeah, we thought we would pull out some charts and see maybe what we can figure out, maybe what the astrology says. So these are opinions of Brandy and Ellie, and we will share what we see in the charts. So I think the best place to start is the chart for so the early morning of December 26th, the mom, Patsy, finds a ransom note in the house, and she thought it was a note left by the housekeeper. She reads it's a ransom note, and this is the point where she realizes that JonBenet was maybe kidnapped and being held for ransom. At least this is a story. This is what she tells police, and so she notifies police when this note's found. And so I think this is our starting chart.
Yeah.
All right, let me get that chart up for us. And here we go. So I'm gonna move it over. How does it look, Ellie? Should I make it bigger?
Oh no, I can see it. I can see it.
Are we good? Okay, cool.
We're good.
So 5:52 a.m., Patsy Ramsey, the mom, finds this ransom note. And this is kind of what I guess you could call the birth of a crime right here. So
yes.
Now, when you're dealing with children in a crime or a missing case, I do look at the ascendant, but I kind of go towards the 5th house. Sometimes use both, because 5th house is children. And so in this case, the 5th house is in Taurus. So we're looking at Venus in Sagittarius in the 12th house right here.
Yep. Right on the
JonBenet.
Yeah, right on the ascendant. And also you could also use the ascendant as like the in these sorts of cases with minors for the parent or caregiver or whatever. Or so it can kind of, it can, if you're using, the 5th house for for the child anyway. And sometimes it's kind of like a combination of.
Yeah. Look at it all, which in this case would be Jupiter. And so Jupiter in Capricorn. So it's Jupiter not in a great sign. It's in a fall there in Capricorn. JonBenet, Venus and Sagittarius. And of course, we can use the moon for JonBenet as well in the sign of Cancer in the 8th house. So that is a death marker. And I would say her placement in the 12th house, not great testimony. Because at this point she's just missing.
Even Saturn, so close to the IC. I know it's in the 3rd, but it also kind of stands out as maybe not awesome.
Not awesome. Saturn in a fall as well in Aries. But, you know, and here's what I learned in horary class when I was going to horary school. And criminal astrology is horary. It's when a planet is like within 3 degrees of a cusp, it's in that next house, according to horary rules, according to John Frawley. So I would say Saturn's there at the 4th house.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So yeah, so at this point she's not found. She's reported missing. This is terrible testimony, you know, about the outcome, because we got death markers, and you got Saturn right there on the 4th house cusp.
Which kind of makes you think, well, okay, because you've mentioned, you know, Saturn's body, right?
Exactly.
And so in the 4th house, could that also be the body at home?
The body at home. Yep. Yes. And the fact that it's leaving 3rd into 4th, depending on a house design. Not really sure how this house, she's found in the basement. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So this would be like I said, depending on the design of the house, you know, in the house, maybe closer to where cars are, or closer to a doorway or an exit / entrance, or yeah, something like that. So I would say, I'm wondering if a garage was close by, but I mean, that's just me kind of going this way with it. But yeah, the body's kind of in an odd place here within the home. Yeah. And so, yeah, so this is about a ransom note. Now, I want to kind of throw this theory by you, Ellie. You know, is it a real ransom note? Yeah. Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
This is a case where there's theories. Okay, maybe it was an outside intruder, a stranger, someone outside the home. And then there's theories it could be someone within the home. If it's someone within the home, this ransom note is probably bogus, right?
Yes. And the thing about the ransom note, from what I understand, from what I remember, is that the handwriting didn't match anybody's in the house. Which is even, you know, that's kind of strange. That's something that gave people felt like it might have been somebody outside of the home. I myself don't know that I sit in that camp of thought that it was somebody outside the home. I do wonder if somebody from outside the home could have been brought into the home but that's a whole other.
Here's what I don't like about the ransom note. One, I think it's a good chart for the crime. But what I don't like about the actual ransom note and what this chart's reflecting is that the chart ruler is Jupiter. It's sitting right by Neptune.
Yeah, which could be like delusional shit or cloudy shit or
lies.
Not real shit. Yeah, or lies.
Yes. It's either cloudy truth, not the truth. Yeah. And so that with the astrology makes me think I question the ransom note.
Yeah. I'm trying not to say anything that's going to get us.
I know. And that's the thing. We got to be careful. So if you're watching this saying, why don't you just spit it out? Well, Yeah.
From what we understand, there's some people that are still alive with this case that sue.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to be sued.
Yeah, neither do I. So
yeah. So that is, generally speaking, when you can see Neptune in a placement like this, it does at least bring up questions like about what this is. So back to JonBenet. Here's where I have questions, because she's found in the basement, but not found for what, another 6-7 hours?
Yeah, I don't, that part I have, but yeah, because I'm thinking to myself, if I couldn't find my son, my ass would be tearing the whole fucking house apart, the fucking neighborhood apart, anything I could. That part I'm like, huh? I know, and I know that they had an older child, but one of them could have been out. I don't know. I just have a hard time with that.
I would be tearing the whole house apart. Like, I mean, I don't know. I guess no one really knows what they do until they're in that situation. But I do know if my child, especially a 6-year-old, was missing, there's a ransom note, every room would be getting tore apart, looking for something. Like, what happened? What's going on? And where I'm going with that in this chart, you got, okay, so the moon is in the 8th house. That's hidden. The rulership of JonBenet is in the 12th house. That's kind of hidden. Mm-hmm. But Saturn's right there in the 4th, close to the 4th. Like, this is not a chart where it's like, and the sun's in the 1st. I want to say that too. It's, the sun's getting ready to rise. The luminary getting up there in the sky. A good indication that they'll be found. But this isn't so hidden that, like, it's going to take months to find her. Or, this chart tells me it's easy to find her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where I have questions. Yeah,
like, why did it take 7 hours or so? Yeah.
But even police, when the police arrive, one of the police officers supposedly went to the door of the basement, and I guess it was latched closed. I'm not sure exactly how that worked. They didn't even try to open it.
I want to bring something up about that, about them, in this chart, and I believe it's the other one for when she was found. Mm-hmm. You have the ruler of the 10th and the 12th. To me, that's like, I mean, that could be, it could be, I'm going to say that carefully. I'm not necessarily, there's hidden shit here, and there's hidden shit with perhaps people in authority positions, power. Do you know what I'm like? We could be talking about the family themselves, and we could be talking about the police. There's something ain't right there with this.
Yeah. I agree with that. There's things that bring up questions, as I always say. I have questions. Something's odd. And the whole thing with the investigation, and this is fact, you'll find this online. I guess not everything online is facts, but you'll see it reported is what I want to say. The whole scene was contaminated. The whole crime scene was contaminated. Police arrive with this ransom note. She's missing. They are allowing the family to have friends over to be there to support.
That's bizarre.
It's bizarre. And it's reported that family friends were in the kitchen wiping down counters after they ate and completely getting, not maybe intentionally, but getting rid of evidence, planting DNA. I mean, there's DNA found on her clothing and in the house that doesn't match anyone in the family, but at the same time, they can't really use it because so many people were in and out of the house.
Yeah.
That the whole scene is contaminated. And when the dad finds her in the basement a few hours later, he picks her up and moves her.
Yes.
Not so much faulting him for that. As a parent, I think you just, but it contaminated the scene as well.
Yeah. I mean, I can't, I can't really, that would be my first instinct too, would be to pick. But, no, I don't know. Maybe somebody did try to tell him to set her down, and he was like, fuck that. I don't know, but that, yeah.
And there's a theory I read on Wikipedia, so not my theory, one that I've read, so she's found in the autopsy report. It it said that there was fruit in her stomach, one piece of fruit that resembled pineapple. At the home, there was a bowl of pineapple in the kitchen. And so there's a theory on Wikipedia that the brother was eating pineapples the night before, and that maybe the piece that she had in her stomach was one she grabbed from his bowl and ate it. And so there was questions about, did it make the brother mad? Did he, maybe hit her? But this would have taken place in the kitchen. And here that morning, they have friends over wiping down kitchen counters and putting things away. And so we don't know. But if you go with that theory, the fifth house being in Taurus, that's food.
It is.
Nourishment, eating for enjoyment. So I thought that was interesting to read about that, and then kind of see this with the fifth house in Taurus as well.
What about, I mean, if we're rolling with this for a second, the seventh house has Gemini on the cusp.
And what is Gemini? What does Gemini usually rule in astrology?
Well, I mean, it rules lots of has, we're talking about communication, we're talking about thinking and learning, we're talking about flexibility, curiosity, siblings.
Yeah. Mercury the same, which Gemini and Mercury rules Gemini. So you got a perpetrator in the sign of Gemini.
And youthfulness.
And
youthfulness just kind of, in general, but yeah, there is a sibling youthfulness thing.
Yeah.
Involved. I'm trying to say it like I'm saying it under my breath, but I'm actually saying it under my breath.
These are classic traits in criminal or forensic astrology of Mercury, and Mercury is right there with Jupiter. It's retrograde. It's interesting information about perpetrator.
Yeah, it is. It is. Should we look at a couple of see what pops up for the fixed stars? We could start with Mercury.
Yeah.
At 18, see if there's.
And Ellie, while you're looking at that, you brought up a good point earlier about the moon opposing those planets kind of in the middle, and it's doing that in this chart, where the moon in Cancer is at 23 degrees, opposing Mercury and Jupiter. But it's that opposition line is going right in between Mercury and Jupiter.
Yeah, there's something about this that just, it strikes me as, well, I don't even know how I could say what I want to say in an eloquent way. So maybe I should just not say it.
We'll go to fixed stars and see if it comes up in any other ways.
Okay, so at 18, we have 18, Mercury's at 18 degrees, 31 minutes of Capricorn. That's near the fixed star Chiliac. Artistic talent, sexual adventures, disgrace, gaudiness, independent thought, trouble with authority, death by violence, fortunate for Venus and Mercury.
Okay.
And then
fortunate. So if this is Mercury and representing a perpetrator, would this indicate them not getting caught if this is a fortunate placement?
I think that's possible. And with the retrograde motion of Mercury, I think it's, I think in this case, from their view, from the perpetrator's vantage point, this is very, all of these things are very fortunate.
Yeah.
Not for her.
Not for the victim.
Obviously, or,
Right.
Let me see. We've got, I could do, we do Venus.
Let's do Venus. Right. That's where I was wanting to know. What I was wanting to know.
Okay. Venus is at 11:36 Sagittarius. Let's see if there's one. Okay. Okay, there's one at 11:58 Sagittarius. It's called Rastaban. Impulsive, honorable, good for astrology. Good for astrology is kind of cool. government, writing, sports, finance, the arts, accidents, wounds, blindness, criminality. It's unfortunate for Saturn, Mars, and Jupiter. So I guess it would be neutral for Venus, but
Yeah.
And the moon, you want to do the moon?
Yeah, the moon. I'm curious about that one since it's kind of in a strong house there.
Mm-hmm. And it's 20. Okay, we got a 2349. So here we have. Okay, it's near Pollux. Contemplative, speculation, audacity, astrology. Again, that's interesting. I don't know. Ruin, disgrace, death, calamity, the immortal twin, the heartless judge. It is unfortunate for Mars, the moon, and Uranus.
Okay, right.
The immortal twin. It's interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, kind of is with the perpetrator being represented by Gemini and Mercury is kind of
the twin. Yeah. I will say this for this being a chart about the ransom note, and that stellium in the second house with the rulership of the chart in the second house. You see that with kidnapping and abduction, you get second house activity. It doesn't mean it's true or false, but it just represents, this is a time we're going to report a ransom note. And it's so interesting how it shows up in that second house.
Yeah, like this would be an awesome time to do this.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely an interesting chart. I really think we get a lot of information about the perpetrator. We get a lot of information, like I said, this is before she's found. We know the outcome's not going to be good. Either way, the chart is a good chart to start with.
Mm-hmm.
And where do we want to go from here? Do you want to look at when she's found?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's pop up that chart. JonBenet found. So this is when she's found by her father, and this is around 1 p.m.
You have the moon in the fourth. Not only the home, but also like womb to tomb, and it's very.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to see kind of what's happening with the planets from the previous chart in this chart. So if you're going to follow, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus. Well, Venus is now in the 8th. See, JonBenet's planets are now in the 8th and 4th. It went from 8th and 12th to 4th and 8th. So
yeah, and I mean even the ascendant in this chart is Taurus. If you wanted to use the ascendant for her, right? You've got that Venus in the 8th. I also feel like this case, I just want to throw out here that Venus is, and in the other chart, the ascendant and Venus, they're very close to the great attractor.
Oh, tell us more.
Which is like it's not a black hole, but it functions like a black hole. Scientists don't really know what the hell it is, but it can pull things and draw things to it. And it almost makes me wonder if that's what made this case so. I mean, there are a lot of things about this case that I feel like could make it catch attention the way that it does, but I don't know. I noticed that and I was like, damn. I was like, I wonder if that played any kind of a role in why this case was why people even today still find this case so interesting.
Yeah. I think it's just the whole, mystery. Like, who was it? Are the people right in front of us? Are they not? Is it some person out there? There's all sorts of course, cold cases, they just draw you in, you want to, especially something so horrendous, like, a child murder, you want to see justice for that crime, and nothing. So what do you think about those planets in the 10th house? Like, all of a sudden, the second house stellium in the previous chart, we're now in the 10th house in the public, and how police handle this. And
well, and again, you've got that, Capricorn midheaven going into the 12th with Saturn in the 12th. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Again, yes, you've got this. There's some. I would not be surprised if there was some funkiness with intentional funkiness with how this was handled.
Yeah.
Why, I don't really know, but yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm just doing some calculations here. I'm kind of, let's see. Yeah, I'm just kind of seeing where certain people fall on this chart that were within the household and what those rulerships would be. You're getting some of the same rulerships.
Okay.
As like the last chart, the perp and maybe caregivers and yeah, I you know, in this case, from what I've read at the beginning, anyone in the house at the time she's last seen or when this ransom note appears, there's 3 other people in the house and they were cleared really, really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, they were indicted and then kind of cleared again, indicted. And I believe I read at one point, the police department made the DA apologize or something like that to the family for even questioning them, which is kind of odd.
Yeah, I remember something about. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to veer off into because but you know.
Yeah.
There's some. I do think that there's weird. I do think that there's weird shit, intentional weird shit with how this was handled. I'm just not really sure why.
Yeah.
And for me, going and speculating why could really go off on some kind of wild ass tangent. So.
Yeah. But
there's
all sorts of theories. Yeah.
But there is, I mean, the charts, I mean, this one, the other one, it does feel like there are things that intentionally are being hidden. And I do not just think it's the family that it involves authority.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, that, you know, no matter who it is, you know, you're dealing with, and in the past chart, and maybe we should just go back to that. You know, we're dealing with the ransom note. We're dealing with the perpetrator and, you know, the ascendant ruler. So Jupiter and Mercury, they're right there together. So one thing I think we can pull from this is that the perpetrator is close to the family somehow.
Yeah. Yes.
Because it's right there together. And so I don't think this chart necessarily represents some stranger out there or someone just random, you know?
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah. So this is a video where we're discussing astrology. I don't think you're going to get out of us who we think it is, but you know, but these are at least some clues that, you know, we can talk about and people watching can kind of draw their own opinions.
Conclusions?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause again, neither one of us want any
I don't want no trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't want no trouble. But yeah, I think the perpetrator's close to the family in some manner. And if anything, we can look at these charts and know, you know, again, study the death markers, study what shows an outcome in a situation. Do we want to go ahead and look at her birth chart? I'm curious.
Sure.
I'm so curious about like fixed stars with her birth chart.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me find it. There we go. Natal.
It's crazy to think that she would be like, if she were still alive, she would be, I think, like 3 years younger than me. Like, it's just interesting to, you know, it's interesting to think like, you know, when, well, it's sad also, but like when children die, it's like they never get to become fully formed people. I mean, not that a child isn't a fully formed person, but you know what I mean? Like a fully formed adult.
Yeah, they always stay a child, like especially like when you're, it's like, it's kind of, it's weird to think. I mean, she'd be what, 30,
32, 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like frozen in time, kind of.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly. So here is her birth chart. She is a Leo, moon in Aquarius. So she's a full moon baby.
Mhm.
She got the Gemini rising. So her chart ruler is Mercury in Virgo there in the 4th house.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, and we know so much about the crime. You know, I don't know if I know much about her. I know she did beauty pageants. She was a beauty queen, you know, a child beauty queen. That Mercury in Virgo, she had to be extremely articulate.
Mhm. I bet she was.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm curious. And of course, I'm doing whole sign. Let me get you the degree of her ascendant. Me and my Hellenistic ways. I forgot to put my ascendant on there. Oh, get this. She's actually a 0 degrees Gemini.
Oh, for real?
For real.
Wow,
There
that's
you go.
interesting. Okay. So let's see here if there's anything there. Yeah, and I'm not going to pronounce this right. Okay, it's Alcyone.
Okay.
I'm not going to pronounce it right, so I'm not even going to try. Central star of the Pleiades. Ambition, honor, and glory. Trouble with the opposite sex.
Okay, interesting.
And let's see, we could try Mercury since it's the chart ruler.
Yeah,
10,
and that's at
15.
10 degrees Virgo.
Okay, so it would be closer to this one. At 11:16 Virgo, we have Zosma. That's kind of a cool name or a cool word, Zosma. I like that.
Yeah, that is cool.
Keen intellect, depression, fearful, unhappy, feels restricted, lost in childhood. Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Egotism, prophetic ability. And it is fortunate for Saturn and Venus. So,
Okay. Now, looking at this chart, going back to my Hellenistic ways, you know, there's where there's sun, oh, it's not just Hellenistic, this is a lot of astrology, but where there's the sun is where there is a lot of purpose, what you're known for, kind of where you shine. Interesting in the 3rd house. Now this could be communication, this could be like siblings. The sun here in the 3rd house makes me wonder if like she probably got a lot more attention than her siblings.
yeah, and she's I mean, just to go into like the EA stuff for just a second, she's got that South Node conjunct her sun.
Mm-hmm.
This is something she, in a way, probably maybe in a different way, carried over from some other time and place.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not her fault, you know, it's just the energy that comes, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, and a Leo South Node, especially as a child, there is something there about pleasing those around you, doing what society thinks you should do, having
Being on.
Yes. And that North Node, had she lived, you know, would have been about learning to kind of break free from that, to be original, to not be the social conformist or do what is expected.
It makes me wonder if she would have gotten older and been like, fuck all this shit.
Fuck, I think she would have. And I'm going to go into some evolutionary astrology here. I'm on a roll here. So, and this is like, according to, actually have it right here, Stephen Forrest, Yesterday's Sky.
Yes.
This book.
Yes.
When he talks about planets opposing the South Node. So whether it's like, and he goes, I really like past life belief, but that is someone that really caused you trouble in a past life.
Yes, it can. Yes. Uh-huh.
Or got in your way, or kind of going back to the Leo South Node, this could have been in a past life. You know, the moon could represent mom or female or some strong female figure making you do these things, making you maybe not being allowed to marry who you want, or, you know, you have to dress this way.
Yeah.
So interesting that
The moon is there.
and her life as a child beauty queen.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So there's some things right there. Yeah, had she had the opportunity to, you know, live, I really think she would have started fighting back against that stuff.
Oh, and she's also got she's got that Mars Pluto thing opposing them.
Yeah, exactly.
Or not opposing, sorry, up squaring the nodes, but opposing each other's, but squaring the nodes, right? Is that right? Yeah.
They are squaring, yeah, about an 8-degree orb, but yeah, so
Yeah, it's, I mean, yeah, you're right. It's a little wide, but I don't know, man.
I would still pull that in. If I was doing a reading, I think an 8-degree orb with a south and north node is absolutely acceptable.
Especially with those two, I don't know, having those two like facing off like that, it's like, yeah.
Yeah. So according to Steve Forrest, that would be someone in your way. The moon would make it almost like victimhood, yet the ones that square would be some obstacle.
Yeah, something that it could, yeah, they could be people. It could absolutely be people. Things, you know, traits, you know, whatever planet you're talking about, whatever it wants to express, those traits maybe from a previous lifetime lens were not executed the way they could have been or should have been. Sometimes that kind of shit can come up too.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've actually, the first time I'm looking at this in her natal chart. I kind of glanced at the natal chart the other day, but that's almost eerie. Almost
yes,
eerie.
it is.
With the childhood she had. And yeah, and can we talk about that 8th house?
Yeah.
Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, all in the 8th house. You know, but a lot of people have a lot of activity in the 8th house. They don't die young, they don't die tragically. It's not like that's not for everybody, but knowing what's happened here, it's definitely interesting.
It is, and it definitely is. And had she lived longer, right? Like had she probably would have gone through, like, there would have been a lot of I think called to transform.
Yeah.
Deaths and rebirths, you know, metaphorical ones. I think there probably would have been
through some major challenges, you know, through Saturn being there, like not easy transformation for sure.
Yeah.
Now I gotta say this though. So when you look at the 4th and 10th house for parents, you know, for the mom and dad, it can really tell you a lot about those planets and the signs they're in. Well, you got Mercury in Virgo, which is home sign, very strong, also exalted, right? And then you have the 10th house in Jupiter, which is in Cancer, which is exalted. Like the parent relationships, as far as how she sees them and how she feels about them, are pretty good. One's exaggerated, but the other's pretty strong, I'd say.
Could it be? I mean, it's strong. I'm wondering if could it just be? I mean, it could be good. I don't want to take that away from her if it was actually a good, right?
Oh no, I want to hear your opinion. Yeah, this is what I love. Like, what do you see?
Well, no, I'm just thinking sometimes with I mean, like, I don't know. I think about like some charts that I've seen where I've seen planets exalted, right? And they're supposed to function a certain way, but sometimes sometimes the exaltedness can be real fucked. Like, and by that I mean like too strong,
like too exaggerated. Seeing someone,
yeah, like
seeing someone better than what they are,
or they just don't use, or they don't use that exalted energy in a very good way or a very nice way.
Interesting.
They have all that power though, right? Of that exaltation, but
they have the potential, right?
Yeah, and they could do wonderful things. But so I'm wondering, in the case of the parents, right? In this case, like maybe she really did see them as like as good, and very well could have, you know. And I don't want to take that away from her if she did, but it also, I don't know.
Yeah.
could they have just been very strong?
Yeah, like strong presence, strong force.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They definitely make an impact on her regardless. There's
Yeah.
definitely an impact that they have, regardless of how she, for sure.
And let me ask you this, like, we kind of get into a little bit of psychology here. When you have, and just generally speaking, you know, and you have someone with a full moon, with the moon and sun opposing each other. What theory do you take in your readings? I mean, I haven't always seen it this way, but sometimes you can see where parents were on like kind of oppositional sides, or maybe they weren't getting along, or, but not all the time, but it's common.
Yeah, it can be where, where the parents, they're not like on the same page. Yeah. And I think that, I mean, I don't know a whole bunch about like what their family life was like, but it does seem like the mom was very consumed with this beauty pageant shit. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be, but it, I don't know. As a parent myself, I can't really picture taking my son out there and parading him. And I know he's a boy, but I'm like,
Yeah.
But it seemed like she was very consumed with that.
Yeah.
And the dad they did kind of seem like they were, I don't know. I could be wrong about that though.
No, for sure. Interesting. Any final thoughts? You want to look any final thoughts about the case, about her?
I hope that it's eventually, I hope, I mean,
her mom has passed away. Patsy died. I can't remember. I think, want to say 06.
It was, yeah. I remember seeing that.
And her father is still alive. The brother is still alive.
Yes.
But yeah, I hope someday there's some answers here. I
hope there are too. I've got to be honest though. Like if there is fuckery with even like law enforcement being involved, or some government, whatever authority, however you want, I don't know that it will be.
Yeah. Yeah. And cold cases, that's just not unheard of. I mean, here's another one I'm working on, the Bobby Fuller. You want to talk about authorities being kind of corrupt. It's a common tale, and I know what you mean. Yeah. If that's what was going on, yeah, it doesn't put too much hope into what'll happen with it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I certainly hope that it will be, but yeah, when I was looking at these charts, over the past few days, when we were like looking at them independently, I'm like, this doesn't look good for anything really ever. Definitively, to me, not, yeah.
The perpetrator being retrograde, like, yeah, it's not going in the right direction.
No.
So, well, Ellie, thank you for coming on and discussing. I know we had to be careful about discussing this, but hopefully everyone found the astrology interesting and maybe got enough out of it to form their own opinions and kind of go from there with it. Is it interesting discussion? And I mean, that's kind of what we wanted to do. Like, hey, let's point out some stuff and let people draw their own conclusions.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that, and like in the comments, like y'all can certainly leave your theories. I don't know that either Brandy or I will agree or disagree, but with like specific people, if specific people are mentioned.
We gotta be careful, but we'll read them. We'll read the comments for sure.
And we'll respond to what can be responded to.
Yeah. Good way to put it, Ellie. Ellie, please tell us where we can find you.
You can find me at SaturnSeason.com. You can find me on Instagram at Saturn Season Astrology. You can find me on YouTube at Let's F with Astrology. Type that into the search bar.
And please subscribe to Ellie's channel, subscribe to mine, give us a like. Let us know if you like this. Go ahead.
Where can you be found, since this will eventually
That's right. I can be found at brandyburrowastrology.com, where I do natal and transit readings. Also on Instagram and YouTube at Brandy Burrow Astrology.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you. All right, guys. Until next time.
Okay.